friends, today's book is A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon. Camilla Cream loves lima beans, but she never eats them. Why? Because the other kids in her school don't like them, and Camilla Cream is very, very worried about what other people think of her. In fact, she is so worried that she's about to break out in a bad case of stripes. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room and she screamed too. "Oh my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered, "but just look at me." You get back in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid what other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. "Most extraordinary," he explained. I've never seen anything like it. Are you having any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, chills, hot flashes, dizziness, drowsiness, shortness of breath, or uncontrollable twitching?" "No," Camilla told him. "I feel fine." "Well then," Dr. Bumble said, turning to Miss Cream, "I don't see any reason why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment that should help clear up those stripes in a few days. If it doesn't, you know where to reach me." And off he went. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and the Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything was normal when the class did the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard!" and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Someone else was calling out different shapes. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors. Poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction, and I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes may be contagious. Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart? He asked. No, thank you, sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans. But she had been laughed at enough for one day. Well, yes, I see, Mr. Bumble mumbled. Mr. Cream phoned the next day. I think I'd better bring the specialists. We'll be right over. About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. This is Dr. Grop, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young. Then the specialists went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. Well, it's not the mumps, concluded Dr. Grop, or the measles, said Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chickenpox, put in Dr. Cricket, or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialists. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one of each before bed, said Dr. Grop. They fled out the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. That night, Camilla took her medicine. It was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she didn't feel different. She did feel different. But when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant multicolored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mr. Cream called, but this time, instead of the specialists, he brought the experts. Dr. Grund and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked at, and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers, and they huddled together. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Grund finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced. With authority, suddenly fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria tails. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Grund. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus blotches. The experts looked at Camilla. They looked at each other. We need to go over these numbers again back at the lab, Dr. Grund explained. We'll call you when we know something. But the experts didn't have a clue, much less a cure. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house, telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon a huge crowd was camped out on the front lawn. The Creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbatists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long furry tail, but nothing worked. One day, a woman who called herself an enrollment therapist claimed she could cure Camilla. "Close your eyes," she said. "Breathe deeply and become one with your room." "I wish you hadn't said that," Camilla groaned. Slowly, she started to melt into the walls of her room. Her bed became her mouth. Her nose was a dresser, and 2 paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. What are we going to do?" cried Mrs. Cream. It just keeps getting worse and worse." She began to sob. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was as plump and as sweet as a strawberry. "Excuse me," she said brightly, "but I think I can help." She went into Camilla's room and looked around. "My goodness," he said with a shake of her head. What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen." She pulled out a container of small green beans from her bag. "Here," she said. "These might do the trick." "Are those magic beans?" asked Mrs. Cream. "Oh my, no," replied the kind old woman. "There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I bet you'd like some, wouldn't you?" she asked Camilla. "Are those magic beans?" asked Mrs. Cream. "Oh my, no," replied the kind old woman. "There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I bet you'd like some, wouldn't you?" she asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big heaping plate full of lima beans, more than just about anything, but she was afraid to admit it. "Yuck!" she said. "No one likes lima beans, especially me." "Oh dear," the old woman said sadly. "I guess I was wrong about you." She put the beans back in her bag and started toward the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. Those beans would taste so good, and being laughed at as eating them was nothing compared to what she was going through. She finally couldn't stand it. "Wait!" she cried. "The truth is, I really love lima beans." "I thought so," said the old woman with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. "Mmm," said Camilla. Suddenly, the branches, feathers, and squiggly tails began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around. When it stopped, there stood Camilla, and everything was back to normal. "I'm cured!" she shouted. "Yes," said the old woman. "I knew the real you was in there somewhere." She patted Camilla on the head, and then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Afterward, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had a touch of stripes again. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had even a touch of stripes again. The end. What's your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is when Camilla turned into her holy room. This book is Duck on a Bike by David Shannon. One day, down on the farm, Duck got a wild idea. I bet I could ride a bike, he thought. He waddled over to where the boy parked his bike, climbed on, and began to ride. At first, he rode very slowly, and he wobbled a lot, but it was fun. Duck rode past Cow and waved to her. "Hello, Cow," said Duck. "Moo," said Cow, but what she thought was, "A duck on a bike? That's the silliest thing I've ever seen." Then Duck rode past Sheep. "Hello, Sheep," said Duck. "Bah," said Sheep, but what she thought was, "He's gonna hurt himself if he's not careful." Duck was riding better now. He rode past Dog. "Hello, Dog," said Duck. "Woof," said Dog. What he thought was, "That is a mighty neat trick." Then Duck rode past Cat. "Hello, Cat," said Duck. "Meow," said Cat, but what she thought was, "I wouldn't waste my time riding a bike." Duck pedaled a little faster. He rode past Horse. "Hello, Horse," said Duck. "Neigh," said Horse, but what he thought was, "You're still not as fast as me, Duck." Duck rang his bell as he rode toward Chicken. "Hello, Chicken," said Duck. "Cluck, cluck," said Chicken, but what she thought was, "Watch where you're going, Duck." Then Duck rode past Goat. "Hello, Goat," said Duck. "Meh," said Goat, but what he thought was, "I'd like to eat that bike." Duck stood on the seat and rode past Pig and Pig. "Hello, pigs," said Duck. "Oink," said Pig and Pig, but what they thought was, "Duck is such a show-off." And Duck rode no hands past Mouse. "Hello, Mouse," said Duck. "Squeak," said Mouse, but what he thought was, "I wish I could ride a bike just like Duck." Suddenly a whole bunch of kids came down the road on bikes. They were in such a hurry that they didn't see Duck. They parked their bikes by the house and went inside. Look at all the animals. They're all looking at that looking at all those bikes. What do you think they're gonna do? Even Duck's looking. What are they gonna do? I think the goat is going to eat the bikes, or maybe they're all gonna ride the bikes. Let's find out. Now all the animals had bikes. They rode around and around the barnyard. "This is fun," they all said. "Good idea, Duck." Look, the mouse couldn't fit on any of the bikes, so the mouse is riding the bike with Duck. And look, there's a bike for 2 people for the pigs. And look, the goat is eating the basket of that bike. Look, and they're all pedaling and having so much fun. Then they put all the bikes back by the house, and no one knew that on that afternoon there had been a cow, a sheep, a dog, a cat, a horse, a chicken, a goat, 2 pigs, a mouse, and a duck on a bike. The end. Look at the end. The duck wants to ride a tractor. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where Duck was riding the bike while standing on the seat, and he was looking above those pigs and saying hi to them. This book is It's Christmas, David, by David Shannon. At Christmas time, everyone always said, "No, David." Look, David is holding coal. No peeking. No snitching. Those are not toys. I don't think David is supposed to play with all those ornaments. Santa's watching, David. Be patient. I don't think David can be patient in that long line. Do you? Hurry up! I think now it's Santa's turn to be patient. Wow, let's check out David's list. It looks so long. It says bicycle, fire engine, spaceship, and now let's look over here. Tank, parachute, Bigfoot, candy, and I can't read over there, and sled, suit of armor, Ferrari. I think he's gonna get a toy Ferrari. He can't get a real one. He can't even drive. Lightsaber. I don't think he should get a lightsaber. Big dog. Rocket, and his list keeps on going. Maybe it even touches the floor. Naughty list, naughty list, naughty list. David. Santa's gonna bring you a lump of coal. I think David threw a snowball and broke someone else's window. Don't start yet. Seat your grandmother. No yawning at the dinner table. That's the wrong fork. Sit up straight. Don't reach. Put your napkin in your lap. Get your elbows off the table. No, David. You may not open one early. If he opens one early, he will know what present it is, and when he wakes up on Christmas morning, he has one present less. Go to sleep, David. I don't think David is getting any sleep. He's looking out the window to see if Santa is coming. No Christmas for you, David. Look, David has a letter. Dear David, sorry, you are naughty. Love, Santa. And look, there's a lump of coal. David looks very sad. Wake up, David. You are dreaming. David looks so excited. I think he's going to open all his presents on the next page. Yes, David, it's Christmas. David got a bike. He got so many more presents. And look over there. He's eating cookies. And over there, he's checking in a stocking. And over there, he's reading a book. And his letter is, Dear David, Merry Christmas. Love, Santa. The end. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where David has such a long list for Santa Claus.